Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dimitri Johnson, and you're listening to MMALatestNews.com.
It's time to roll, baby.
Hello guys, welcome back to MMA Latest. We're here with Split Decision, where we're going to be recapping UFC 248, where Israel Adesanya defended his title against Yoel Romero. Joanna Jedrzejczyk, unfortunately, didn't get the title back as Zhang Weili defended her title as well. But we also had Cage Warriors Manchester, where Jack Cartwright retained his Bantamweight title in an incredible 5-round fight. But we had a good weekend, guys, didn't we? I'm joined by James and Johnny. What did you get up to with your weekend?
Well, I think me and Johnny both had a good time interviewing a plethora of world-known fighters.
That's a nice word for you.
Plethora. I like plethora. That's the journalist in me. Thank you. I like words like that. But anyway, let's kick it off with Cage Warriors. You two went as part of the media. I know it was a fantastic event to cover. You've got two massive interviews. Well, you've got two out at the moment. With
George Smith and Jack Cartwright.
Jack Cartwright. And then I know you spoke to Paddy the Baddie Pimlet and Lerone Murphy. So how did those interviews go?
Yeah, Paddy the Baddie, what a top dude. I mean, everyone knows who Paddy the Baddie is. Funnily enough, we have an interesting story how we actually met online. We had a beef with, because I like Brendan Loughnane. I don't know Brendan too well, but I know his story. Phenomenal fighter. And I was sort of saying, why are you not fighting Brendan? Anyway, one thing led to another. We're going back and forth. And it resulted in me coming down to Liverpool to interview him. So I'm ready to come down. But unfortunately, his opponent pulled out that day. He was fighting on the weekend. So it never happened. But when we saw each other, he remembered, gave us a lot of his time. Incredible dude, really is. There's people, I mean, all fighters are nice people. Some aren't, some are. But this guy's a serious good dude. Lerone Murphy, UFC fighter, unbelievable story. If you don't know his story, wait for my interview. If not, check it out. 50 Cent has nothing on the skeezer. Phenomenal story. We also went to Manchester Top Team yesterday. So the weekend we did Cage Warriors, we did the event. Then we did the watch along. So we were up till 8 in the morning. We were troopers. There was emotion. There was setbacks. TVs were falling on Mitch's head. We had audio problems, and we pulled through like an army. We went home. We had an hour and a half sleep. Picked each other back up. Went to Manchester Top Team, Carl Prince's gym in Manchester. Frank Mir was there. You had a phenomenal interview with Frank Mir, James. How was that?
Absolutely. Frank Mir, one of the most articulate human beings I've ever met. First things first, though, probably the biggest human being I have ever seen.
Hands alive.
Like, he's tall, he's probably about 6'4", but it's not his height that takes you back, it's how thick he is. I mean, he put his hands on my shoulders, and I was like, that's bigger than my head. It was absolutely massive, but such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So humble, so willing to talk to us.
Yeah.
I just thought, fantastic person, and I was more than happy to get the opportunity. Additionally, I spoke to Brad Pickett, arguably up there with the greatest British fighters of all time. There's only the likes of, Bisping, Dan Hardy, you can really rank above him. So lovely fella, fantastic to talk to him. And I know in addition, you spoke to Kay Musa and Carl Prince.
The danger, Cade Musa, phenomenal guy, great story again. It is a cracking interview, if I don't mind saying myself, so wait till that comes on. Carl Prince, for anyone who doesn't know Carl Prince, how I could describe him is the Al Heyman of MMA, except he probably doesn't have Al Heyman's money. Shout out to Carl. He isn't everywhere. He knows. He's a promoter, he's a manager, he's a trainer, he's been in this gym, he's been in that gym. He's been around the game for so many years. He's very well respected, an amazing guy, great story. He gave us a lot of his time. His Manchester Top Team's a great gym, so I'll check it out. The interview is a good interview, but just a good dude. And we had an unbelievable weekend. But the main thing is that I want to talk about is the two fights. Number one, the co-main event, Joanna and
Zhang.
I'm not tired. Joanna and Zhang, one of the best fights. Was it the best fight of all time? I don't think so. It was a phenomenal fight. How did you see it, Mitch?
Well, it's definitely up there with the best women's MMA fight of all time. The two absolutely went to the trenches, went to war. It was a very close fight. It was hard to score. I wasn't mad at the decision. It was a split decision win for Zhang Weili, so that shows you how close it was. Joanna Jedrzejczyk was phenomenal. You can see, I could probably see how it's scored where Joanna's taken more damage. You could probably see, if you're looking at her as a person, you'd go, oh, she definitely lost that fight. Whereas in reality, she put on a lot of pressure. She landed a lot of strikes. We've got the stats here. She landed 196 total strikes, 186 significant, whereas Zhang had 170 total, 165 significant, and a takedown. So the stats are very close in terms of the output between both fighters, and I'm not mad at the result, and I'd like to see a rematch. How about you?
I'd love to see a rematch, Mitch, because both fighters put in an absolutely terrific performance. It was one of them where neither deserves to lose. Joanna Jedrzejczyk really showed glimpses of her best. Her striking is so precise, like it was in her prime. Weili Zhang has that set base so she can launch in that right hand. It was a really entertaining fight. Neither woman wanted to take a step back. I thought it was absolutely terrific from the outset and throughout. I think in terms of the decision, me and Johnny both scored it towards Zhang, but I wouldn't have been mad if it had gone to Joanna.
Definitely not.
Was that close. We were on the edge of our seats throughout the entire contest.
Unbelievable. I mean, it makes a big difference where you're watching the fight. We didn't watch it with no commentary, and a lot of people have conflicting opinions on the results. We watched it with no commentary, which makes a big difference because we're not being swayed by anything. So what it seemed to me was Joanna, first 2 minutes of the round, would pour it on. Hand speed still there. The foot movement for me is on the decline because she would stay in the pocket, land the combinations, but she won't get back out again. Where she used to be in and out, she's sort of staying there now. She looks like the foot speed is on the decline. First 2 minutes of the round, she would pour it on, but then the last minute of the round, Zhang would catch the judge's eyes with a couple of combinations, a couple of heavy shots, would rock Joanna. So I think that makes a big difference. So if you can pour it on in the last minute, as opposed to the first 2 minutes, you would tend to win that round because the judges remember that. So I think that was the common theme of the fight. But was it the greatest MMA fight of all time? No, it was an unbelievable fight. And I know, as you referred it to, the hematoma.
Yeah, hematoma, as it's rightly called. You know, it would look. She looked like she had a bowling ball on her head. It was absolutely mental. I mean, she's still the Polish princess. I'd still happily take her out for dinner.
Where?
But where did we go? What do you think she likes, Joanna?
Spaghetti bolognese.
I mean, what? Am I going to take her to Italian and we go in Pizza Express?
I know. She did something with ESPN and a sort of post weight cut. It's a lot of pizza, donuts. So
I'll take her to Pizza Express.
Coffees.
And I don't know if Pizza Express have a franchise that's out there in Poland, but I'll happily fly.
Definitely.
I'll go for that.
I think she's fit.
I've always said she's the Polish princess, even with that hematoma on her forehead. I mean, she looks like the Elephant Man or not. I'm happy to meet her with
I think
Joanna.
she went from beauty to the beast.
Well, the true beauty of a human being lies within Johnny, and I still think Joanna's got that. So
that's very
it's a really nice comment. That
and something that's quite beautiful at the moment is the strawweight division is probably the best division in the women's
flawless segue.
In the women's game at the moment. You know, we've got Tatiana Suarez, we've got Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Michelle Waterson was on the cusp not so long ago, but where do you see the strawweight division in?
What do I say there,
Salt the popcorn. I mean, it's
what do I say?
Salt the popcorn.
So it's a fantastic division, isn't it? It is sexy again. I mean, there's so many options now because Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas is coming up.
Yeah, it's 2-4-9.
Providing Rose wins that, Zhang Rose is a great fight.
Even if Andrade wins that, we can have the rematch with that.
I mean, Zhang won that very conclusively.
But it was so open in the first 5 minutes. Well, in the first 2 minutes, it was over. But it'd be interesting to see what happens because Jessica Andrade, she had problems going over to China, where the fight took place. Of course, she had different difficulties to acclimatise and all that. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Again, you could probably do that. Maybe not in Brazil because 250s they're too close. But I'd be open with that fight. I'd be open with Namajunas getting another shot. Either Namajunas versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk, we probably do again.
That would.
I mean, there's so many different fights.
Namajunas, Joanna, we've seen twice, so I don't want to see it again. And then in regards to Andrade Zhang, I do think it was a bit too conclusive. I think the person that's standing out that deserves a shot, if it's not Joanna Jedrzejczyk, because that fight was superb, is Tatiana Suarez. She seems to be the unsung hero of that division.
Yeah. It's an awkward one because she picked up that neck injury, so she took herself out of the picture. I'd say if she hadn't got that injury, she probably would have got that shot at the weekend. But she's got this neck injury. She's slowly coming back. And hopefully we'll see her August time, perhaps. I don't know if they'll be straight into a title shot. Maybe a Michelle Waterson, someone just to get back into it. But, she's very close.
Either way, it was a great, great fight. And let's move on to a main event that promised to be a great, great fight, but it simply wasn't. I mean,
we had the highs of strawweight.
And then the lows of middleweight.
I've got to say, there's a video I put on my Twitter at Johnny Rashman where I put fantasy versus reality, where I put the first 20 seconds of me and James talking about the fight, how we're hyped up. I'm saying it's going to be a fucking war. Eyeballs are popping out, fingers are going, and it's a dog fight. And then it cuts to after the fight where we're just like, worst fight.
It's one of them. It's like 6 a.m, you're questioning why am I a mixed martial arts fan, because it was absolutely terrible. But
it was abysmal, shocking. And I'm not being funny. Romero's come out on yesterday with a video on the beach saying I'm not retired. Listen, mate, you've absolutely stunk the place out. the first 2 minutes of the round, you came out with a high guard and you threw fuck all.
Yeah.
Now, in my head, I was thinking, is this a game plan? Because sometimes you see John Jones or someone like crawl on the floor and you're thinking, is he going to lure him in? But then it became apparent when he threw fuck all in the first round. I thought, oh my God, we're actually going to have an absolute stinker.
Just to put it in comparison, so just seen 366 strikes in the strawweight fight, 88 in the middleweight fight.
In the whole fight?
Yeah. 88 total strikes.
Yoel Romero landed one shot in the opening round. Really
he knocked him hard.
But the thing that really annoyed me is that Romero came out, the ESPN interview, this terrifying guy, he's the God, he's going to do this, he's going to rip his leg off. And he came in and did fuck all. And for me, it's you should refund the fans the money back because...
Yeah, to interrupt there, he did his post-fight Octagon interview. He was like, we need... there's fans here that come to pay for this pay-per-view. This is not a fight that we should be having. It should be enjoyable. We shouldn't have someone who's on the run, who's always backing away. But at the same time, Adesanya, he was on the post-fight desk interview with John Anik, and he was like, well, it takes two to tango. I came to fight. I was doing putting the pressure on, prodding him, trying to lure him into traps. And Romero just didn't bring anything in. Now he compared it to the likes of Gastelum, who brought the fight, Whittaker brought the fight, and even Anderson Silva, who's the same age as Romero, brought the fight to Adesanya. So you could see where both are irritated. The fans definitely lost out on that fight. But what was your opinion?
I mean, first of all, I'm going to talk about the scoring. And me and Johnny both gave it to Israel Adesanya on the night. I had it 3-2, is it?
Who gave it to Romero? I don't understand.
Ariel Helwani had Romero. Kelvin Gastelum had...
I love Ariel Helwani. You need glasses, mate. How the fuck can you give that to Romero? He never threw anything.
I don't actually think it was... I can see why.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the first 4 rounds...
a bit more damage.
3 and 4 were very comfortable for Israel Adesanya.
Sorry. There's damage but... He threw one punch around. You can't win a fight by throwing one punch around. If you just throw a few jabs and it doesn't even hit you, you'll win that round.
So anyway, going back to 3 and 4, Israel Adesanya definitely won those rounds.
Yeah.
1 and 2, we both said on the watch along.
It was very close.
You said they could have been draws. If you're willing to score around a draw, you can't argue that it goes either way. Yoel Romero wobbled Izzy in the opening round and in the second round. Therefore, you can see an argument as to why it
especially
goes
with
that
how
way.
judging's been recently. I was at the end of that fight watching on producing it. I wasn't going to be sure which arm was raised. In all honesty,
I was convinced.
The 5th round
I don't
again.
know what you were watching, guys.
The 5th round could have gone that way. So I gave it to Izzy, but I can see the case as to why people have gone.
And I'm a big Adesanya fan, and I'm glad that he retained the title.
Yeah, I thought Adesanya did the better work. I think I've never been one for the champion, for the challenger needs to rip the belt for the champion. I don't agree with the concept. I think if you win a fight, you win a fight. But still, I'm going to make an exception to the rule for the mindset of Yoel Romero. If you're training your whole life to go into a world title fight, and that's the performance you put in...
At 43 years of age...
Because Yoel Romero could have done far more. He didn't really try that hard to win the fight.
Look at his highlight reel. Look at the Weidman knockout. Look at the performance against Paulo Costa, even though he lost. The 2 fights with Whittaker itself. Where was that?
Why didn't he try and take him down? I don't understand. At no point he looked to...
Well, Adesanya's got
there like that.
Adesanya has got an incredible takedown defense. I think
good, but it's not...
I think he's been taken down once, maybe twice in the UFC. It's like 80%.
Yeah, I know, but he's not faced ridiculously high-level wrestlers. He's not faced anyone in Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero, I think, did he secure a takedown in the second?
I think so. Maybe...
Popped straight back up.
He never got anything massive.
And he tried a couple at the end, but again, Adesanya popped straight back up. But, Romero rocked him in that first and second, but he just stopped.
For me, it was... I would actually say it is the worst performance I've ever seen in a championship fight in the history of combat sports. It was that diabolical. I mean, it was like an Audley Harrison and David Haye. Do you remember all those years ago?
Yeah, I remember.
Audley Harrison threw enough. It was cringy. It was embarrassing. I mean, it was to be honest with you, it was a disgrace. I mean, I love Yoel Romero, but you should... Don't come out on a Monday morning on the beach running. If you put in a fucking shift, you ain't on the beach Monday morning. You're in bed. Do you know what I mean? You're fresh as a day. Why are you fresh as a daisy? Because you did fuck all in that fight. Everyone was excited. You've got people watching around the world. You've got fans paying big money. If I paid big money to go and watch that, they deserve a refund. It was shambolic. It was absolutely awful. Now, if he's coming with some type of injury or something, then pull yourself out the fight. Don't let fans pay money. Because at the end of the day, it is a sport, but it's a business as well. We pay good money to watch these type of fights. And I can understand if a fighter gets knocked out, I don't have any problem with that. If a fighter gets technically beaten. No problems with that. But when you go in there and put no effort, no desire, and you just want to defend the whole 25 minutes of the fight, for me, that's tainted your legacy. And it's not like he needs the money, because he's been paid a shitload of money for the fake drug thing, didn't he?
27
Well,
million.
that's I don't know if that's probably not been given yet.
No, he got paid out. He got because he got popped for taking.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the company went into liquidation as well.
I don't know.
I know it was rumored that would be what he got, but I don't know if he's got that. But at the same time, he's had 3 title fights now. He missed weight for 2, pulled out that sort of performance one for his most recent one. He's 43 years of age. You said on the watch along that he looked very gaunt. Whether his weight cut had a big problem with that, he had missed weight previously.
Yeah, he's a monster at light heavyweight. Middleweight. And in addition, the older you get, the harder it is to cut that weight. Yeah. If he is going to carry on, I'd like to see him at light heavy. I mean, could this man ever get a world title shot again? Unlikely off the back of that performance. If John Jones moves up to heavyweight, though, and potentially vacates that light heavyweight belt, I mean, him versus, Jan Blachowicz,
Thiago Santos.
Yeah, exactly. You can get decent fights out of him, but I mean, he's not helped himself with that performance.
No, I don't want to see him fight again. I really do. I've completely lost interest. I doubt I'll fight.
Do you think Darren Till will be more open to fight him now?
I think Darren Till was always open to fight Yoel Romero. I think he's having a bit of
banter, but do you reckon that could be a fight we could get Till Romero?
If Romero carries on, I'd like to see him move up.
Yeah,
I like the Till Cannonier fight. And I think for Israel Adesanya, we need to think about what comes next. I mean, Paulo Costa's the obvious one. I mean, he looked like somebody's auntie.
Dana White said it's the Costa fight.
Yeah, it's definitely
dealing jewelry.
It was meant to be Paulo Costa for this one, but with him, I think he tore his bicep, or he had a bicep injury anyway. Had bicep surgery.
Dana White came out and said Romero stunk the place out.
Yeah,
because Dana White
wasn't happy.
Dana White's a massive promoter. He's already saying he knows it was that bad. He said, look, Costa will fucking come to fight. There's no doubt about
definitely.
that. He will come to fight.
Well,
and that's what we want
That's the thing. His fight with Romero was an absolute classic. He could have given that either way. Went to Costa on the night. And yeah, he's definitely in line. He's come back from that injury.
Paulo Costa's got, he's got absolute world-class sparring with Logan Paul.
No,
that fake. Have you seen that footage?
I've seen it. I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that I actually do think Paulo Costa won the Yoel fight. I was one of the people that I think Costa deserves his shot. I mean,
definitely.
He has popped positive before, which isn't ideal, and he looked about 700 pounds at the weekend. But as you said, the Logan Paul thing, yes,
fake.
The knockout is
That's not a real
fake.
knockout. That's fake, right? So don't pretend that he's knocked him out. It's fake. But what I will give Logan Paul, I may slate his boxing, and I do think I'll smash him in the ring, but his wrestling's awesome.
He's got fantastic wrestling.
I was really impressed with his wrestling.
He's so athletically gifted. He's so explosive. The way he scrambles. He really is a high-level wrestler. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Logan Paul in the Bellator.
Definitely not. He'd bring names to that, or he'd bring eyes to the sport and to the promotion. Definitely, yeah.
He's actually a high-level guy.
If he brings if he brought his boxing up, he did 2-3 years of boxing. Measure that with the wrestling, you got a pretty good fighter there.
He's got a good base, but it's apples and oranges. If you're facing other YouTubers, fine.
He's only 24.
But when you've
seen worse. CM Punk started at 38?
Yeah, he battered CM Punk. In fact, I make him a favourite against any other celebrity that's done MMA.
Yeah, well, that Antonio Brown guy, wasn't it? It's rumoured.
If he goes in the UFC, right, for example, which I believe he does, because he's that big of a name, Logan Paul, I believe the UFC if they put CM Punk in there, they're going to want Logan Paul. But what would you do with Logan Paul? How could you, because with CM Punk...
You'd have to put him up against a big name equally.
You can't put him against a big name.
No, a big name globally rather than not a big name fighter.
Yeah, but the UFC don't do that. So hence CM Punk came in, he fought a killer with Mickey Gall. That was a big mistake. So the UFC don't do that. Throughout their history, they've not done a Bellator where it's an 80-year-old Ken Shamrock against a 90-year-old Hoyce Gracie. You're putting them in with, if it's not a killer, it's someone. So how would you do that?
I don't think it'd end up in UFC. Now, I just had this thought. What if PFL did a YouTube series?
I don't think they're a big enough organisation to bring Logan Paul over. But what I will
offer him $1 million.
I think they've got some money, PFL. Brendan Loughnan's fighting for $1 million.
Logan Paul is a multi-million.
Yeah, but I think he'd rather do it for the sport. Can you imagine if we had a little YouTube series of Logan Paul, etc., all doing MMA with PFL? Because there's no elbows in that, so it's better for them.
I wouldn't want to see that again. Don't get me started with the YouTube boxing again, please.
It's just something fun.
He'd be far too good for anybody else who does YouTube. And I guess if you stick him in like a cage with KSI dies.
Because it's not fair. Because of his wrestling background, it's not equal terms for him to face a celebrity. It's not, because as much as I say I would smash that guy in the ring, if I got in an octagon with him, he would take me down. He would take me down and ground and pound me because he's a high level wrestler.
Yeah, so if you look at all the other celebrities, you know, you've got the likes of CM Punk, who he'd ragdoll James Haskell, he'd ragdoll Aaron Chalmers.
James Haskell.
Aaron Chalmers would be an interesting fight.
He'd batter Aaron Chalmers.
It's different weight though. He's bigger than Chalmers.
How big is he?
He's a big guy.
Because I know he can make 185.
I think he was 90 to 96 kg, which is probably 195. It's probably middleweight, welterweight if he cuts heavy.
I mean, Aaron Chalmers is. Could Aaron Chalmers get to middleweight?
Do it at catch weight.
I mean, it's an interesting fight, and I think Logan Paul beats all of them. I think he'd dismantle Aaron Chalmers. I think he's wrestling. I mean, this is a legitimate 5th place in Ohio level wrestler.
To be
with
fair,
extreme athleticism.
I thought Chalmers would smash him, but after seeing his wrestling with the cast, I know the boxing knockout was all just rubbish, just reviews, crap, fake. But his wrestling was really impressive, explosive. So he's definitely got a foundation there. I can see it happening. I can see him being in the UFC. He brings a number. Definitely. He's got that wrestling background.
I don't know if he makes it that high, but definitely a promotion that has a bit of money behind that can use Logan Paul. Logan Paul's got some good contacts. He has his podcast Impulsive. He's had Tyron Woodley on there. He's had Brendan Schaub on there. He's had some big names on there. TJ Dillashaw.
He brings eyes.
It would be interesting. But back to the fights, we had Cage Warriors Manchester this weekend where Jack Cartwright defended his title. SBG Manchester, who we went down and saw the other week. We did an embedded with them. That's all on the channel. We've got Jack Cartwright interviews. George Smith, who spoke to beforehand. Levi Steedman. But, they had a fantastic weekend at Cage Warriors Manchester.
Yeah, phenomenal event. First time Cage Warriors have been to Manchester. Me and Mitch went. It was a great setup. I've been to a few MMA events, but this was good production. It was very professional, and it was rocking for the Cartwright fight. And there was a feast of action, as I like to say. I mean, we had a highlight reel knockout where there's this guy, and I never knew who this guy was. Remember the name, Paul Hughes. If you've not seen his knockout, I think it's on Cage Warriors Twitter. It was absolutely sensational. It was a high leg kick, highlight reel knockout, just strolled away, then told everyone he's going to be a UFC champion, sort of like Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
definitely. It wouldn't surprise me if this man is a UFC champion. Phenomenal talent. George Smith from SBG Manchester. What a series talent. Great grappler.
And, it was a good night for him because obviously he would have been on the prelims, which was on their YouTube channel, but he moved up to the main card after Stapleton, had to withdraw because his opponent missed the medical. So George Smith moved up to the main card and was put on then UFC Fight Pass, and he got a fantastic first round submission.
Well, another man's loss is another man's gain. Martin Stapleton, unfortunately, and this is really, really bad. It's horrendous.
He's had 3 cancelled now on the trot.
3 fights cancelled, and his opponent pulled out on the day with a few hours to spare. I mean, that's gut wrenching. All the hard work, all the
weight
training,
cutting done,
the weight cutting. The fans have paid the money, and the opponent's not turned up on the day. Feel sorry for the guy. But George Smith came in, made a statement, Japanese arm bars, he referred it to me, and got his name out there. We saw Adam Wilson as well from Paddy Pimlet's gym, Next Gen.
He looked very good.
I tell you what, again, submission of the night, he caught the kick.
Yep.
No, he threw a kick and his opponent caught it, and he somehow, got on his back. It was a
standing rear
naked choke. Unbelievable.
We had some
Adam Proctor.
Fights.
Adam Proctor.
SBG, South Shields.
South Shields, Adam Proctor, another one looked good. And then we had the main event, the ferocious, hard-hitting Mr. Jack Cartwright, who's a phenomenal dude, great guy. And I've said it before, there's certain fighters who bring this power, legitimate, scary power. This man has it. Dropped his opponent in the first round.
Multiple times.
But I've got to give it to Bilic. What a scrappy dude.
He held on to his chin, didn't he?
Game as they come, he absorbed Cartwright's shots and was targeting Cartwright's body, was smashing the legs repeatedly. And Cartwright took it again, just kept marching forward. He will be in the UFC, Cartwright, because he's a fighter's fight. He's excited.
And he spoke to us. He said he's ready to go 5 rounds with anyone. He's got Saul Rogers affiliated with him. He's got George Smith, Stapleton, all those fighters to train with.
To SBG Manchester. I mean,
but to go back to it, it's always weird when you have an affiliation with a gym. We was down there. I've not spent too much time with him. The team more than I do. Yeah. But he's like, you're seeing him. He obliterated him on the feet. He knocked him down about 3 times every round.
Yeah, phenomenal.
But Bilic, every time he went to the ground, he wanted to bring the fight to the ground. It did get some sticky situations in that 4th and 5th round where you're thinking he could get an arm triangle in here, could get the finish here. But Cartwright showed his experience, and now there is a card at UFC Dublin, which is named probably on at the moment as Cage Warriors champion.
He said to me, and he said in the Octagon interview as well, he said, I want UFC Dublin. I will knock anyone out. And if you actually watch his knockdown in the first round, this isn't just a swing. This is
technical boxing.
It was an uppercut followed by a left hook, and it was crisp as it
I've
comes.
not seen someone hit that hard. He's a 135 pounder. He's not a big guy.
It's frightening. His power, and anyone who comes across, anyone who spars with him, you hear him on the pads. I mean, I've said it before, there's certain fighters who bring power, sort of like Golovkin, Nassim Hamed, Wilder, where it's unexplainable. You can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. And the power, it's a noise where you can hit it. It's a different sensation than when you hear someone else hitting the pad or hitting flesh. And he sleeps people.
Yeah,
so Dana White will love this man. He has to be in the UFC.
Definitely. I reckon he's on that UFC Dublin card, because it's on UFC Fight Pass anyway, Cage Warriors. So it's easy to just push him up into a Cage Warriors prelims, or UFC prelims, sorry.
Yeah.
And it'd be a great name on that card. You can give him the spotlight. It's on ESPN. I'd imagine he's on the ESPN prelims rather than the ESPN Plus card, just because it brings more eyes to ESPN. And I reckon, Bellator Dublin's just been announced now. I don't see him going to Bellator just because of the contractual issues with where the fights are shown at Cage Warriors.
Cage Warriors is a stepping stone to the UFC. But what I do believe, I think the UFC needs to start showing British MMA some love. I believe you've forgotten about us. It seems like you're not bothered. You put on the odd card a year, the odd London, it's one card a year. Ireland seem to be, but I'm not being funny. Where we want Manchester. Look at the boxing. Manchester, MEN Arena, packed out. Liverpool, Echo Arena, packed out. We're not getting it.
Well, I think it's Jack Cartwright's there, because obviously London's probably the hotbed, it's the capital. Everyone can get there transport-wise. We've got Woodley versus Edwards next weekend. So it's going to bring some eyes. It's an easy place to get to. The O2 Arena is, 18,000, I think, 20,000.
But why are we so limited?
I think it's just because, because the only time, recently it's come to Manchester was when Bisping was champion, wasn't it?
How long ago was that?
That was 2016.
4 years.
It's a joke, to be honest with you, Mitch, because we have one card a year.
Yeah.
It's not enough. We could do 2, 3, 4.
No.
You don't even need, a UFC London card can be headlined by 2 people who aren't even British. There's no excuse to not have more cards over here. We need it. Bellator are constantly over here.
Well, Bellator got that European series and they're nailing it. They got Milan, they got Dublin twice, they've done this year, London. Cage Warriors even have done Belfast, Cork, Birmingham, London twice. Manchester.
No, I believe it's an absolute disgrace why the UFC they have forgotten.
They did Liverpool last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but we're looking at scraps. Why should we have one card here, one card there? No, 6 cards a year, fight nights, main events, bring the big stars over. I can understand the McGregors and the bigs, fine, but why are we getting scraps? It shouldn't be once a year in Britain. England is a fighting capital, is a fighting country, like Mexico, like Ireland. We ain't getting the love. Now, Manchester's a fighting city. Why isn't the MEN being packed out? Why isn't, you don't have to have a local favourite for that. Anyone will come.
No, but I think that does help to promote.
It helps,
Sorry, you could put Darren Till in Manchester, but he's obviously going to fight in Liverpool, where he's from.
I spoke to Paddy, I spoke to Carl Prince. They all said the same things. They say, you take away the politics. It's great for the sport when you build up a local rivalry. You could have Paddy Pimblett, and I've gone on about this with 3 different people, but Paddy Pimblett, Brendan Loughnane at Anfield, you could have a rematch at the MEN. That's sexy. You could have a primetime series like Hatton and Mayweather 24/7 docs. You can put the money. You can really build those two up. There's rivalry. They both talk well. They're both good fighters. The UFC, get your hands out your pocket and build it up. And you watch that do phenomenal numbers, but they're not interested. They don't care. They're not interested in British MMA at the moment. And for me, I love the UFC, but someone has to say something.
It'll be interesting if Leon Edwards wins next week and then he gets that title shot. If he becomes champion, then there's no reason why we don't get a pay-per-view over here. Leon Edwards versus...
When was the last time we had a pay-per-view?
Bisping,
2016.
But he was the champion.
You tell me in the last 10 years how many pay-per-views we've had in England.
We very, very rarely get them. It's a joke.
So somewhere along the line, what is going on? Like, I
think we need another champion or 2.
But that's just, you're just making excuses, Mitch.
Because it brings eyes to the sport.
Yeah, you're making excuses for the UFC. We've had champions. We've had McGregor's from Ireland. We've had Bisping was a champion. I know he defended against Dan Henderson, but it's not all about champions. I could understand it if we if we weren't guaranteed to sell it out. But our British fans are the best in the world, one of the best in the world. They will sell out anything, right? Yeah. And I just think it's really poor to have one card a year. And it seems to be not getting any better. No local rivalries are being built up. It's like if a UFC fight, it's like we're privileged to have a British fighter win the UFC. So they have to take a fight on 2 weeks' notice. If they don't, they won't get the shot again. So you're scrambling around. It's not like, let's build you up. Let's mature you into a poster boy. Let's get something behind you. Like Dana did with Conor all those years ago. He ain't doing that with anyone else. And it's sort of like, to get your shot in the UFC now, you've got to rely on a last-minute job. And you're not going in there fresh. You might not even be on... Some people have been on holiday and they've had to take a fight in the UFC. Lerone Murphy,
he was 3 weeks out last time.
He was, luckily enough, he got a call randomly. He said he thought it was a joke at first. He was to fight Zubair in Dubai, and he said, "Fucking yeah, I'm taking that fight." And luckily, he got a draw out of that. So luckily it didn't affect him. But we shouldn't. British fighters shouldn't have to be relying on token gestures and worrying about that. Why aren't we maturing it, Mitch?
Well, to be fair, we've got some great names out there. Leon Edwards, we've got Darren Till, we've got Molly McCann, Joanne Calderwood,
Pimblett, Paddy,
Jack Marshman,
Brendan, Paddy.
Yeah, we've got some great ones. PFL Bellator's got Kane, we've got Saul Rogers over there.
Saul Rogers, we've got names.
So it is fantastic, but Bellator are going to come over more. Liam McCourt over in Northern Ireland. So we have some fantastic talent. It's just
James. If I'm asking you, what do you think the fundamental problem is with British MMA and the UFC? Why are we having such a lack of action?
Because the UFC just show us no interest. I mean, they're willing to take fighters to Australia all the time, and even fight nights they seem to have regularly over there. Yeah. I mean, Darren Till for Tyron Woodley in Dallas. That would have been absolutely massive if they'd have stuck it in England. I mean, they have the opportunity to do it, and they don't.
We've had Till and Thompson, and we've had Till and Masterville out. 100% thumbs up for that. Phenomenal. We want more of that, but it's like if we have a big main event, we're not going to see anything for another 6 years. It's like that's how you feel. It's
I do think if Darren Till faces Adesanya, wins that middleweight title, if Edwards beats Usman, gets that title, I think we do really see some more pay-per-views. It's not often you see.
You don't have to be a
title fight. It's not even pay-per-views. No, we get one card a year.
Yeah,
it isn't enough.
There's no excuse for that, is there, Mitch?
No, but again, I think we haven't. I think we're coming up to this hotbed now. We've been underlying just a little bit. We've been relying on Bisping. We've been relying on a little bit of Darren Till to bring us up. Can you imagine McGregor going over to Dublin?
That way.
No, McGregor's too big star. But even like Vadum, Volkov, that can sell out the L2. We don't need British names to sell out these cars.
Masvidal and Covington or something like that. That would sell out.
You need two ex-world title level names.
would have done it this year.
But like Whittaker versus, I don't know, Cannonier would sell out in England.
It would, but I don't...
Why not do it? Why not pack out the L2 for Whittaker?
True.
It'd be a good fight, and it's a better fight than Vadum Volkov.
I disagree with you where you have to... It's not about the whole main event where you could put Till against... who's a middleweight contender?
Anybody.
Till against
Romero.
Till against Romero, right? But then you have a good undercard. It's not if you have a good undercard as well. It's not the point because in America you're not seeing every week flashy events like this weekend we've got Lee and Oliveira. Why can't that be in England?
Yeah, it's either Brazil, I think.
No, but I'm saying,
but
it's a fight night. It doesn't always have to be. It should be right at the beginning of the year. British MMA have 3 main cards in. 4 main cards and 4 fight nights. That should be without a question. I mean, look what the money we bring to the table. the eyeball. No, I'm sorry though.
No, that happens.
It really frustrates me because it's just a lack of respect for British fans, and it is because we support the UFC, we support MMA, so we want the big fights. So if no one's prepared to say it, it's because they've got agendas. They're either working for different challenges. I will say it. And I love the UFC, but it's an absolute disgrace the lack of action we're getting, and it's to the point where. We're actually following other organisations. I don't think the UFC care because they are coming to us.
I mean, Bellator are almost taking over our market, but I don't think we'll get 4 main cards. That's unrealistic.
No, that's unrealistic.
But 4 fight night cards should be a simple thing.
They scatter them across Europe. I think we've got Dublin. We've got obviously London. I can't remember where. I think we've got Denmark, perhaps Copenhagen. There must be a Germany one, perhaps. So they scattered around Europe. Probably get like 6 or 7 a year.
There's so many show options. I mean, there's no problem sticking a few. One in Manchester, one in Liverpool, one in Birmingham. You're spreading it out a bit.
Absolutely.
But either way, Just quickly going back onto these interviews before we close. I know you're extremely close with lads up in SBG, so the interviews you've got are extremely good. So hopefully they'll be popping up on the channel over the next week or so. I'm, of course, very good pals with Frank Mir now. So, yeah, I think we went out for a couple of beers after the...
couple of beers?
Well, we went out for a couple of beers, me and Frank. You know, we were like, James, you know, that was a good interview, mate. I think I've warmed to you. Do you fancy going out to the pub? I was like, yeah, go on.
Some darts.
Well, we played a couple of games of darts, me and Frank, and I defeated him quite comfortably. So
how was his throwing, though?
He's got a decent action, but he struggles to hit the doubles, which is a real issue. So, you know, he went for double 20, came inside again on the double 10, missed the double 5, and he ended up in the madhouse going for double 1. I mean, I held my nerve, and that's why I won the game.
There's a big difference between fighting in one of the biggest organisations in the world against Brock Lesnar than playing darts in your local pub. You have to have a certain mindset to be in a local pub. When you've had 10 pints, there's a certain skill to get your foot movement to the board and to angle the shot.
Absolutely. You've got to have confidence on the hockey. It's the most important thing, guys. And to keep that coordination when you're 10 pints deep is impressive. If Frank was like, look, James, you've got something special. Yeah. I mean, you could take my job in the UFC Octagon any day of the week. And I said, you know what, Frank, I probably could. So if you want it now, we can get it organised.
This didn't happen,
this is just business between me and Frank.
This never happened.
This happened, and then I went up for Pizza Express with Joanna, and that was my week.
That's great. Weekend, One thing I would like to add is Mohamed Mokaev won the tournament in his at IMF Oceania. So again, 23-0, undefeated still. What an absolute killer.
I've said it before. I've said it on my Twitter years and years and years ago, and I'll say it again. Mohamed Mokaev will be an undisputed UFC champion. He'll go down as one of the best fighters in the world. Better than Khabib, in my opinion. He's got better striking. He's young. I believe he's young. I believe he has a better career than Khabib. I know it's some shot saying that, but this guy is the Terminator of fighting. Look at his social. He dumps people up like I dump the trash out. It's just unbelievable.
He's
I've never
an absolute
seen
murderer.
Being just. It's frightening how he carries someone and smashes them, and he smiles in his pics. There's countless pictures of him. He's either got a guy up and he's about to smash it, and he'll smile. Or he's ground and pounding him, and he'll smile.
I know in Bahrain, in his final against this Japanese guy, that he's got a quite good rivalry with.
A few times.
But yeah, I think the crowd was booing Mokaev for the wrestling, and he was talking to the crowd while fighting. That's such a ridiculous thing to do.
Young guy
from a civilian point of view.
Sorry, mate, I think he's only like 20.
He's 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, the UFC, if you can't build this guy into a star, there's something wrong. This man is a poster boy. Amazing story. From Dagestan, came to Wigan, believe it or not, and now trains in Manchester.
I think we'll see him in the UFC in 2 years.
UFC, he will reign the UFC. Unbelievable fight. Mohamed Mokaev will go down as one of the greatest fighters that's ever lived, I believe.
And I think that's all.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it on. So yeah, congratulations to Mokaev, Jack Cartwright, Bantamweight champion. We'll see both of them in the UFC, both same division as well.
Cartwright and Mokaev.
Yeah, same division.
You're getting me going now, Minchie. I tell you what.
Same division. So yeah,
sexy.
Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Put your comments down below. Follow us on socials on Twitter and Instagram. And latest news on both, and we'll see you on the next video.